Hello, this is Courtney from Willow's Bloom. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And today we're going to be talking about the Capricorn New Moon, which is happening at 23 degrees of Capricorn. And I know that this is a really big new moon for astrologers or for everyone because it is conjunct Pluto. And Pluto is actually one of the key components, Pluto and Saturn together, were the key components that took place in the conjunction, which basically caused the coronavirus or was a reflection of coronavirus. So having Pluto come back in here and be a part of this moon, I feel like has a lot to do with us rebuilding. I definitely feel like this new moon is a continuation of the energy of 2020 and a culmination of it. And a new moon is already a beginning. It's the sun and the moon aligned directly in the sky together, and it's basically giving us a fresh start. But what's interesting is it's right next to Pluto, which tends to break things down. And so it's interesting to have a new start and a breakdown happening all at once. And I feel like we can already sense that this is happening in the energy around us. We see that there is somebody new coming into office in the United States, but then there are people resisting this, that are revolting, that are causing sort of a breakdown of our current system that we have. And so I looked up the Sabian symbols for 23 degrees of Capricorn. And the Sabian symbols are just basically channeled messages from somebody who wrote down each degree of each zodiac sign and what that kind of meant. And what came through for this specific one was that it was a lot about masculine energy, a lot about us asserting ourselves. And when it's in the positive influence, it can be obviously a positive masculine experience, but then the negative influence is, especially paired with Pluto, quite volatile, quite dangerous. So whenever we think about, obviously the negative aspects of the masculine, it's aggression. And that is something that we will see come to play on January 20th when Mars is conjunct Uranus. There's going to be an explosion of this aggression, of this masculine energy, of this desire to force our will, assert ourselves, assert our ideas onto other people. And we can see this coming through with there are so many aspects happening in the sky. It is a very complex concoction happening at this new moon. So just the moon itself is combining energies with Pluto. So it's taking on the very destructive qualities of Pluto. So that's our new beginning. But the rest of the stars, the rest of the planets, they are also making angles with each other as well. And that's kind of like setting the backdrop or the scene of where this new beginning is taking place. So let me just kind of talk to you guys about what those are. So first of all, we have Neptune making a square to the North Node. And this is something that's been happening for a while now, and it's essentially representing an unclear future as a collective. We don't really know what direction we're going in. We have our intuition guiding us. We have a gut feeling about how things will unfold, but really 2020 threw us all for a loop, and 2021 is going to be filled with those same kind of changes and volatility where we can't really plan, where we can't really know for certain what is going to happen and where we can direct our energies and feel confident that we're going to get a specific result out of it. And so the square to the North Node and the South Node is basically stating that the level of like a lack of clarity is very normal right now, and we're not meant to have all the answers right now. So it's an interesting new beginning that's destructive, unclear about how we're moving forward, and yet we're still supposed to be birthing through this energy into a new level, into a new way of being. We also have Mars and Uranus making a square to Mercury. So as I mentioned, Mars is going to be exactly conjunct Uranus on the 20th, but even now we can feel their conjunction. We can feel this tumultuous behavior. We can feel how people feel very like there's an unrest happening. People really want to break free. They want to do so in an aggressive, violent way. They don't want to be told what to do, and we can really already see this coming through with our current political atmosphere. People breaking into our political buildings, things that are normally under a lot of security. People don't care, and that's the energy with Mars conjunct Uranus right now. This is an energy of protests, of insurrection, of riots, and it's going to continue to build up until it becomes exact on the 20th, but we're absolutely going to feel it during this new moon. And it's, again, setting the stage or the backdrop of this new beginning. We are kind of taking a new step forward in 2021 on a shaky ground, if that makes sense, because people are angry, people are upset. And this Mars and Uranus conjunction is making a square to Mercury. This is basically saying that we are not agreeing with each other. There's a lot of discord. There's a lot of different beliefs happening. And it's not just like, oh, we don't agree. We have different understandings of the world. It's aggressive. That's the energy of Mars and Uranus. It's an explosion of energy. So it's like one person disagrees with another person and they can't just try to meet in the middle. There's no civility. It's this clash, the clash of the titans, this clash of worlds. And so at this time, we really aren't meant to feel in total harmony. But this is alleviated, however, from Venus, that is going to be making a trine to Mars and Uranus. So it's almost like there's a kind of like blessing in disguise in this area, where we might not agree at first, but then things kind of end up working out not as badly as they could have been if it were just this energy by itself. I feel like the Venus energy is coming in here and giving us some hope for the future. It's alleviating some of what would be extremely volatile and making it just a little volatile, or like not as bad as it would be. I definitely think we can expect the unexpected right now. Definitely expect to argue with people, but I feel like this trine to Venus is saying you're going to argue with some people, but then other people you're going to really connect with and really see eye to eye with and see more of a unification happening. So it's almost like a unification among a split. So we're going to have kind of like, I'm envisioning this as two groups of people unified amongst themselves, but fighting against each other. And that's really what I feel like is ultimately happening with this energy, which is disappointing, because the first way that the United States or any country, any people are controlled is by dividing its people, because the power is within each individual person. When that is accumulated to equal a whole group, we hold all of the power. And so the best way to basically get control over a people is to make them fearful, which we've all been extremely fearful in 2020 of what's to come, what's going on with our health and with our loved ones, the future. And then the second aspect is to make them more reliant on the system, to make us basically not have the innate capabilities of taking care of ourselves, so that we absolutely have to lean on the government or lean on the system in order to get our food, in order to get our transportation, in order to live in our homes. And this is a serious problem that we've had obviously throughout forever. Our schools have ingrained in us to learn how to listen to authority, to give the answers that we've been told, to kind of repeat things or spit it back out. And I feel like what 2021 is bringing up this energy is this clash between this old way of being, where we have been bred to be reliant on a system, and this age of Aquarius that we're stepping into is an energy that is much more independent, that desires to be able to take care of itself and to take care of its loved ones without dependency, without being controlled, without being manipulated. And that's not currently possible with our current system. So that's why there has to be a huge shift, a huge breakdown, and there's going to be people who are rebelling, and then other people who are even more closely identifying with the system. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. There's lots of layers to this. It's not so black and white as I just presented, and there's going to be people in all different directions with all different points of view. But I do feel like there's going to be some groups forming, and that is kind of what I feel like the trine with Venus is this unity amongst certain groups, and then those groups kind of clashing with each other. So as I was kind of mentioning before, that's really how we get our power taken away, and how we end up in a more like communist or controlled society, when we become dependent on the system, when we are fighting amongst each other, we lose our power. And yeah, so this is just I mentioned this because this is the negative energy of Aquarius. There's the positive aspect where we kind of, we are each individuals and we honor our individual differences, but we have a common vision and we're working towards something that is in the best interest of all. There is that aspect. And then there's the other aspect where we can kind of get involved in groupthink, where we can be, like blending too much into a community. So this is like the communism element where you don't necessarily have your individuality. So it's like the negative aspect of Aquarius that I'm fearful that we could fall into, because that is the energy of this era. So it's going to be up to us individually to assert ourselves while still maintaining a sense of harmony with those around us, which is very challenging at this time. It's really not in the cards for us. So it's okay if that's not happening at first, but eventually we need to transition into some common vision, some common understanding, common ground, despite our differences, in order to not fall into this more like controlled system that is very possible. Okay, so Uranus and Mars, this revolutionary energy, is also making a square to Jupiter and Saturn. So on December 21st, Jupiter and Saturn had the great conjunction, and that basically kind of set us off onto this new age of Aquarius. I mean, we've been on it, but it's like the dawn of it. And it's basically like we are kind of reworking the system starting December 21st, the system of our society. And so now that this very explosive, tumultuous energy is making a harsh angle with the energy that's rebuilding our system, it's kind of saying that we have to have this I don't want to say war, but this is energy of war, and war can happen in many different ways. It doesn't have to be so overt as people literally going out and attacking other people. It can be, war over social media. It can be war happening behind the scenes, but there is some element of this disruptive warlike energy that is coming in and taking place in order to restructure the system. So it's like, ultimately, I see this as Jupiter holding a higher vision, and then Saturn coming in and picking the pieces apart, and Mars and Uranus exploding those pieces. Like Saturn is picking the pieces apart that aren't working. And so whatever is left after this month or these couple of months where this energy is really prominent is what is going to be taking us forward into the next, century. So that's really what I'm seeing going on. Oh, we also have Mercury conjunct Jupiter and Saturn. So I think all of us are going to be thinking about the future. We're all going to be thinking about that blueprint, that vision, what we want things to look like. But since there is this square to Uranus and Mars, we're going to be fighting about what that vision should look like. We're not agreeing about what that future is. And so it's going to be intense on a collective level. But now I'm going to go ahead and talk about it for all the rising signs to show how this will impact you on a more personal level. All right. So up first, we have Capricorn Risings. So for you guys, this new moon conjunct Pluto is happening in your first house. And I'm just going to pull a card for you guys. Fourth house roots. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to pull, I'm going to pull 3 different cards for each sign. Just kind of, normally I shuffle them, but you know what? We're doing this live. We're just going to make it happen. So this is a really, really big deal to have this in your first house. I mean, you guys have already been dealing with this energy throughout all of 2020, so it's not like this is anything too new, but it's intensifying. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a culmination of the 2020 energy. So you guys are definitely going to feel a lot of this coming through for you in regards to just yourself and how you are meant to change and transform yourself. And I feel like this is basically saying that throughout 2021, you're going to have such a massive up-leveling that it's going to really surprise you. And this could mean, this doesn't have to always be positive in the sense that it could initially present itself as a challenge, even physically as a challenge, because of the fact that this is in your first house, which relates to your physical body. And oftentimes Pluto transiting the first house can cause like some health problems, and new moons can bring about like new opportunities. So there can be like some negative outcomes of this, or I should say negative representations of this, but ultimately what it's going to do at the very end of it is be extremely transformative for you. And what Pluto does is it strips you back, and it really aligns yourself with your soul and your deep soul needs, your deep soul desires, and your larger purpose as far as your soul's evolution. So if you do encounter some more challenging experiences during this time going on in your life, like around your purpose, around your physical body, or just like even how you identify, just know that those challenges are meant to help you grow and expand in really, really big ways. And I feel like this is interesting. I pulled the fourth house card, which is about roots, and I feel like that is what it's doing for you guys. It's changing you guys from the roots up. It's not like the universe is coming in here and you're a tree and they're just trimming some leaves. I feel like they are uprooting you from who you are and transporting you to a new place, to become a new person. So 2021 is going to be really, really, really big. And I love this card. It says library, take control of your own narrative. And it's a 22. So I don't know if you guys like angel numbers or repeating numbers, but that might be significant for you. But I feel like what this is saying, especially given that this is in the first house, is that you have the opportunity to direct this transformation or this energy wherever you want to go. Pluto has very powerful manifesting abilities, and at this time and throughout all of 2021, our mindset is going to be extremely important. So as negative things come in, how we frame them is going to be essential to how we grow and develop. You have the ability to take control of the narrative and tell yourself what you want to believe about what's happening to you, or what you're going through, or about who you are. So this is essentially the power in your own hands, especially because the first house is a house of leadership, where we literally direct our entire life. And so it's in your hands right now. This transformation is in your hands right now, and you have the choice to basically evolve the way that you want to. Make of it what you will, essentially. And you also got the bat energy. So I don't know, I like the bats. First of all, they're flying through the night, so it's like they have the ability to see through this darkness, to see through the other side, and they are not deterred or slowed down or scared by the darkness. They also hang upside down, so they have this totally different perspective on life than other people have. And I think that this is actually really representative of who you guys have been throughout all 2020, because you guys have had some of the biggest transformative energy when it comes to astrology. And so it has been changing you from the inside out, from the roots up. And the fact that you got this back card, I feel like, is showing that you have an immense amount of strength, and you have started to be able to develop the ability to see through the dark times and realize that the storm will pass, and that you can shift your perspective on the situation in order to view it in a way that will ultimately benefit you. So I actually really like this for you guys. Okay, now let's talk about Cancer Rising. So for you guys, this is happening, this new moon conjunct Pluto is happening in your 7th house. And I'm just gonna pull 3 cards for you guys. It's so funny. I just pulled the Cancer card. So, you know, this is just more of your energy. I don't know if that's in focus, but hopefully it is. I normally have my glasses on, so I'm blind. I got morning, the world awaits you. Now let's pull an animal card. And I got the mouse. Interesting. Okay, so the fact that this is happening in your relationship area of your chart is definitely a big deal. Whenever we have a new moon happening in one of the 4 angles of our chart, this is one of them, it tends to bring about really obvious manifestations in our life. So you guys are going to have some definite changes occurring in your relationships throughout 2021. And this is definitely setting like the sights for the rest of 2021, in my opinion, about what is going to change and develop the most for us. And so for you guys, I think it's the way that you relate to other people. It doesn't just have to be your partner. It can be anyone in your life. And it could literally mean that the change in your life is happening to other people. It doesn't have to even be you. So it could be a change in your children, a change in your spouse, a change in your mother, or the way that you relate to those people. I mean, regardless if they change or if you change, the way that you relate is also going to change. So there's going to be, some massive up-leveling in that area, and definitely some letting go of really old habits and old things. I really see this coming through with Saturn finally shifting into Aquarius, that we're starting to let go of these like really outdated ways of being, because Saturn really does represent our habits. And the fact that this moon is going to be conjunct Pluto is saying that we're totally destroying those old habits and creating new ones. But specifically, I think that this is your habits around your emotional connections with other people, how you talk about your emotions, how you feel your emotions, how you process that energy, because what you do with your emotions is really important. Because my friend Kim was saying the other day, our emotions are just an energy, and we can transmute and channel them, or we can allow them to take over us. And so I feel like it's going to be really important for you guys to learn how to deal with your emotions in a new way and relate to people in a new way. And this mouse card, I feel like, is saying that it's time to shift our perspective to one that's a little bit wider, and less focused or less worried about the details. The mouse tends to, it's very close to the ground. It's scurrying along. It can only see probably a little bit in front of itself. And so its world is very small, and it can tend to fear things. And I feel like this morning card, the world awaits you, is saying that there's actually so much beauty out there for you. And this might really be, is this focus? I literally have no idea. This really might be telling you that if you guys have had some, stuff happening in relationships this past year, and it's kind of been a lot, that you might have developed more of this fear. And now it's time to let go of that habit of the emotion of fear, which again is like that Saturnian nature of habits is exactly the same for emotions as it is for like activities that we do, because we can choose our thoughts, and we can start to recycle the same thought patterns that get us stuck in this loop of fear, of focusing on the small details, of focusing on this one thing that's wrong in the relationship, or some negative aspect about somebody else. And I feel like this world awaits you is basically saying that there's so much more out there for you to experience, and that there is a lot more positivity coming in, but you have to clear the way, clear the old emotions, clear the old thought patterns to actually allow this in. All right, so that's all I have for you guys, Cancer risings. Up next, we have Aries Rising. So Aries Rising, this new moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto is going to be happening in your 10th house of career. And I'm just going to pull 3 cards for you guys. Interesting. The part of fortune increase. So this is a really positive card, especially since this is affecting your area of your career. Mural, be your own first priority. Also interesting. Especially with Aries risings, normally, you are your first priority. And then the black egg. Okay. So let me just look up super quick what the black egg is. I think it's related to one of the chakras in this book. And but automatically from these cards, I'm like, wow, you guys are going to have some gifts coming in for you, which doesn't always mean that it's comfortable necessarily. Speaking from an authentic voice, the truth. Okay, so this is about our throat chakra. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, so having this new moon happening in your career area is definitely going to give you guys new opportunities coming in with this part of fortune increase. I think it's going to feel very positive for you guys. Maybe you'll be switching jobs. Maybe you'll be promoted. Maybe you'll find new creative outlets through work that feels really exciting for you. And that doesn't mean it's all going to be positive. I definitely think it's going to challenge you, but in a good way. I think it's going to challenge you in your career to step up as a leader. The other thing, it's interesting because the fact that this new moon is conjunct Pluto, Pluto gives it more energy. Pluto gives us the power of influence, the power of manipulation, which can be used in a very positive way throughout your purpose and your career. And I feel like that's what this black egg is saying, is it's basically saying that you're going to have the ability to use your throat chakra, use your voice within your career to make a difference and to start really influencing the world over the next decade. So this is going to be really exciting for you. So I think any changes and developments in your career are ultimately going to help you step up as a bigger leader. And if it's not specifically career for you, it's any way that you leave a legacy on the world. And that can literally be through your family, your children. It can be anything at all. But I think the most important thing about leadership is always making sure that we are taken care of. And so saying this card, be your own first priority, maybe this is a time in your life where you need to make decisions for yourself, where you need to ask yourself what's going to make you happy. And if that means leaving behind, a certain job with security and people who need you, but it's in your own best interest to leave, it's saying to do that, because this is going to give you the opportunity to rise up and be the leader of your own life, and also be a leader for other people, which is really exciting. Okay, that's all I have for you, Aries Rising. Up next, we have Libra Rising. So I'm just going to pull 3 cards for you, Libra Risings. So for you guys, you have this new moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto happening in your 4th house. And interesting. And this is a very important house to be having this moon in, because whenever we have a new moon happening, especially with Pluto, in one of the 1st, the 7th, the 10th, or the 4th houses, it makes a huge difference in our life. Like, we will see tangible results. We will feel the changes so much more than we will in all the other houses. So this is a very big pivotal change for you guys. And interesting. And as I've been mentioning with the other groups, is that I do see this as a culmination of 2020 energy, but also setting the stage for how we are going to be bringing in brand new beginnings into our life for a good part of 2021, especially because Pluto is here, and Pluto drags things out and makes things into a process rather than like this quick overnight thing happening. Okay, sorry guys, my camera just died, so I had to restart the recording. But yeah, having Pluto here is basically saying that any changes that we're making are going to be for longevity. They're going to happen for a long time, and they're really going to make a huge dent in the core of who we are. And since this is happening in your 4th house, that really means that it's going to be around your roots, your family, like literally where you live. All of 2020, you could have been kind of taking a look at the patterns of your family, like where you tend to move, what brings your sense of security, how you feel emotionally fulfilled in life. These are all things that I feel like we've been questioning and kind of dismantling over this past year, that you're going to continue to do and continue to evolve from. But I think what's really coming through with this first card, this South Node Life's Debts card, is basically saying that you guys are going to start to leave behind some of this ancestral karmic debt, these ancestral patterns passed down from many, many generations, and also many lifetimes that you've had with these people before. I feel like there has been an accumulation of ways of being, of patterns that are no longer serving you. And this new moon in the 4th house conjunct Pluto is saying we are going to totally strip those from you and rebuild the foundations, so that you're not carrying all this baggage into future generations, so that the karma cycle stops with you. And this is a very uncomfortable process, you guys. Whenever there has been an extreme amount of momentum in one direction, it can be very challenging to just stop that flat out. And I feel like that's what this Pluto energy is saying, is there's going to be some destruction, some discomfort, some total explosion of your old belief systems and your old way of viewing yourself, and things that you've inherited that just aren't you, that don't serve you. And so I think that that's going to be really, really exciting to see how that goes. And I like this a lot. Expectations, don't seek anyone's approval. Yeah, I feel like this ties into the energy of leaving behind these past patterns from your family. Because there can be this expectation of who you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to act. And I think a lot of the times the problem is that this expectation is implicit. You know, our family just raises us one way and doesn't talk about how they expect us to be or talk or behave. But when we react differently, then we're kind of like chastised or made to feel different or made to feel bad. And there's these implicit expectations that our family puts on us of how to be. And I feel like we're going to be leaving anything like that behind, whether that's from our family, whether that's from our friends, whether that's from our partner. I feel like we're going to be shedding a lot of the beliefs of other people and expectations and thoughts and energy of other people so we can step more authentically into ourselves. And I think that's also part of the reason why I chose this bear card, because the bear spends quite a bit of time hibernating, quite a bit of time on its own in solitude, away from other things, to regenerate and not have this outside influence. And this is really what I see us doing. I think Libra, we're going to need to have this time on our own. We're going to need to have this space away from other people and other people's thoughts and energy in order to get super clear on what we want to build in this next year. So it's going to be a lot of letting go of the ties of the old things, the things that aren't ours, so we can step more fully into our power. So Libra, that's all I have for you. Thanks so much for listening. All right, Aquarius Rising. So I'm going to be pulling a card for you guys, 3 cards actually. Sun, okay. That's a good one. And we got Witch, Justice is Coming, and Golden Egg. Okay, so for you guys, this new moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto is happening in your 12th house. So this is a very spiritual place for this to be taking place. Can be challenging though, because the 12th house oftentimes has to do with loss. Just really quick, I wanted to look up what this golden egg meant. And it's really about the heart chakra, the soul. Interesting. That is so weird, because you guys really have 2 cards that are indicating soul. So I do feel like this is going to be deeply spiritual, stripping you guys back to your soul level, which Pluto already has a tendency to do. And in astrology, the sun is the soul. It's the spirit. It's our essence. And the golden egg here is representing the heart chakra or the soul as well. So yeah, I feel like this for you guys can almost feel like a purging of your old identity. And I think it's going to be letting go all of kind of like past versions of yourself and stepping more fully into your soul, into your spirit. And I think it's going to feel like it's bringing about a lot of positive changes, even though it might at first feel uncomfortable. At first you might be faced with situations that do challenge you in order to question these old ways of being. But ultimately it's going to lead to you getting what you deserve. You've been putting all this time and energy into developing your spiritual practice, and now justice is finally coming. You're finally going to feel like you are getting a sense of what you are as a person, because you've been having all these planets like what was I just gonna say there? I have no idea. You've been having Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto moving through Capricorn in your 12th house. So it's been a lot of soul searching, a lot of really going through the hardships in order to understand what matters in life. Like when you look at things from a soul level, you really are tearing away all the external and just seeing the foundation. You're just seeing the essence. And that's really what I think the 12th house does, is it kind of purifies us of all the things that have attached to us that are not really, that are clouding our essence. And now that these planets, Jupiter and Saturn, have shifted into Aquarius, into your first house, you are rebuilding, you're finding your soul. And like all the work that you have done over 2020 in that area is finally going to start paying off. So I feel like this is going to start feeling really positive for you guys, even if you're presented with maybe like one last challenging situation. It's possible, it might not happen. But regardless, you've already put in so much work looking at your soul in this area of your life that now you're going to start to see those rewards. You're going to start feeling more connected to who you truly are and to spirit as well. So that's all I have for you, Aquarius Risings. And up next we have Leo Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Capricorn is happening in your 6th house. And I'm just going to pull 3 cards for you guys like I'm doing for all of the groups. And what a lovely first card. You guys got Jupiter Abundance for number 1. Feast, slow down and celebrate yourself. Leo Risings, normally you guys like to celebrate yourself. You're not afraid to have a good time. And then the last card I pulled is the Spider. Wow, that's a really powerful one. Okay. All right, so let's talk about what this means for you guys. So having a new moon with Pluto in the 6th house, okay, this can be kind of challenging. I'm not gonna lie. The 6th house in traditional astrology has a lot to do with like, it's almost like us karmically paying our debts, because we oftentimes are, it's like a house associated with working very, very hard in service of other people. And it's not about the recognition, which Leo likes the recognition. So it's kind of been a hard transit for you guys all of 2020 to have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto in Capricorn in the 6th house, like moving through there, kind of transforming the way that you are in service to the world. And maybe not always giving you the accolades that you wished to have received from all of your hard work as these planets were moving through the 6th house. And so I like that I pulled this card, Jupiter Abundance, because I feel like what it's saying is that you're finally going to be receiving some of the rewards for this really hard work that you've been doing in service of other people. And yeah, I think the other thing about the 6th house is it can indicate this energy of working very hard, which I think you guys could have been doing over 2020. I mean, everyone's life situation was different during that time, so it's hard to say. But with Saturn moving to the 6th house, this can amplify this like intense work energy. But now that it's going to be moving into Aquarius, things will likely shift, if it's shifting into your 7th house, to put more of that work into your relationships rather than your like actual like everyday work. So I think that you guys are going to finally have some stuff paying off for you, and it's actually time to slow down. And now that you've been spending so much of that time working, it's time to slow down and actually take a retrospective look at everything that's been happening for you, and see, like, celebrate yourself and see how far you've come, because you've done so much. Yeah, like this spider, for example, they have been sitting here weaving this web, this tapestry, and it can feel like when you're just at one part of the web, it can feel like a very daunting task to have the rest to go. It can feel like, you know, when you're spinning the web and you're concentrating on that one aspect, it can feel like you haven't done much, if that makes sense. Like you're focusing on that one thing that you're doing at a time. But then when you stop and you look back over what you have done, you will see this whole intricate web that you have created. And so I think you have been weaving this web all throughout 2020, working on yourself, working on your habits, working on your physical health, working on your actual work, showing up to your job or your business. And you've been putting so much in, and now it's time to give yourself credit for how much you have done and look at how the pieces fit together. So even if it looks like you haven't done anything in the moment, when you really sit down and like jot down everything that you've done in 2020, you'll see that you accomplished a lot more than you actually anticipated, especially given that it was such a hard year. So yeah, I feel like this is going to ultimately end up giving you guys blessings for all the hard work that you have done. Obviously, this is a challenging new moon, so you can be presented with more challenges in the area of work as well, until you receive those blessings. But ultimately, with those cards, I feel like it's going to be a positive outcome for you guys. All right, thanks so much, Leo Risings. And up next, we have Pisces Rising. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your 11th house. And I'm just going to pull some cards for you guys. I'm pulling 3 cards for each of the groups. Okay, you got Mars, Force, Clover, Release Your Guilt. Interesting. Pisces can sometimes be more guilty than other signs. And Firefly. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, having this new moon with Pluto happen in your 11th house is definitely going to be impacting your relationships, or it could be impacting your goals. I mean, it sort of depends on your personal chart, obviously. But yeah, it could impact your vision for the future, your humanitarian efforts. But I feel like this is really coming through in your relationships. Maybe you guys have had separation in relationships. Maybe there are, because with this Mars energy, Mars is a very divisive energy that pulls people apart. And having this new moon, this new beginning with Pluto, the planet of destruction, happening in your friend sector, I do feel like you guys are going to have some shifts, some changes. So maybe you will lose friends that are no longer in alignment with you. That could have been building up for all of 2020, or and like start to manifest in 2021. Maybe those people will fall away. But I don't feel like this new moon is just taking things away from us. Pluto has a very regenerative force. So the fact that it's taking it away is that so that something else can come into its place. And so I feel like yes, you're absolutely going to be attracting new, more positive relationships and connections that are going to help you get towards your goals, that are going to help you lift your vibration and become the person that you really want to be. So you're going to have to let go of that old, and you're going to have to let go of any guilt you have about leaving people behind, because whatever reason this is coming in, like it's here because it's meant to be here. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. I mean, it could be, but at the end of the day, these things just happen naturally, and we have to just honor the cycle of life, and not resist it, not feel guilty about it, not put all these negative emotions on it and make it mean something. It doesn't have to mean anything. It just means that you are no longer on the same path, and that's okay. And so if you are feeling guilty about releasing some people, or re-examining your relationships and questioning some people, or questioning the way that you interact in some ways with people, it's time to let go of the guilt and step into the more positive vibration of honoring that relationship for what it gave you, of being so grateful and loving that person and releasing them in a really gentle way. And when you release them in this gentle way, there's no hard feelings. There doesn't need to be this negative energy surrounding it. And then you will actually start to attract, like a firefly has light in its body, you will start to attract other people who also have this shining light. So up until now, you could have been attracting mosquitoes. You know how mosquitoes go towards the light, or moths or whatever. I don't think it's mosquitoes, I think it's moths. Regardless, bugs go towards the light. But those are not your friends. You need another firefly. You need someone else who contains that light within them. And so I feel like that is what you're going to be doing throughout 2021, is starting to attract other people. But you can't fully shine your light if someone else is bringing you down, if someone else's energy isn't in alignment anymore. So it's time to let that go. All right, thank you so much, Pisces Rising. Up next, we have Virgo Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto is happening in your 5th house. And I'm just going to pull a few cards for you guys, like I'm doing for each group. My lips are so chapped because in Colorado, there is absolutely no humidity. And I'm from Florida, so you know, guys, this is just so much fun. Okay, so let me look up really quick what this cosmic egg means. For whatever reason, I never pull these egg cards, and for like most of the people, I've gotten an egg, which is so strange. Okay, this is about the crown chakra. Meditation, interesting. Our consciousness, very interesting. Yeah, because like I said, this new moon is happening in your 5th house, which is all about what we create in life. it actually has a really deep meaning. So a lot of times I will say it's like it's children, it's fun, it's sex, it's play, it's enjoyment, it's pleasure of life, and those things are all true. But really what the fifth house is our desire to actualize or externalize our innate self in the form of a creation and share that with the world. So it's really the reason why this is Leo tradition, like Leo energy that they normally overlap with, is because Leo wants to create something and be seen in its essence for what it's created. It wants people to experience itself. And so this transformative energy has been happening in your fifth house, or moving through your fifth house for all of 2020. And now it's kind of like the last hurrah, saying that that you guys are basically having this accumulation period, or this opportunity now for new things to come in regards to your self-expression and your creativity, and you literally birthing something that feels so aligned with your soul. And I got this healing card, Chiron. Chiron is a very powerful part in our charts, and whenever I do readings for people, oftentimes this is the thing that will make people cry, because it's where we have wounds from our past lives, where we've had the most struggles. And yeah, I think that should be really interesting, because the fifth house is such a house of pleasure and joy, but you've been having Capricorn move through there, which tends to stifle, restrict, make life feel more challenging, not as pleasant, not as full of love and harmony. You could have been having a bit of a struggle over 2020, more so than other people, in the fact that like the light of life seems to be dimmed. And now it's finally, that energy with Saturn is finally shifting into the next house over. Well, depends on the degrees of your houses, but it's now shifting into Aquarius, which is moving this energy away from the fifth house of your pleasure and your joy, and into the sixth house, which is much more centered around work. And this is something that is like traditionally associated with Virgo as well. So I feel like the fact that this heavy energy is finally shifting is a part of this healing process. And I also feel like this desire to create, or these opportunities that are going to come in for you to create something that feels like an expression of your soul, I think that is going to be extremely healing. And I think it's also going to be something that you receive as divine downloads. This is the crown chakra. This is something that we access through meditation, through connection to spirit. So I think you're going to literally be getting some divine downloads with this new moon about some new creative ventures to pursue. And I think they might scare you a little bit. They might make you feel a little bit self-conscious, or doubt yourself somewhere along the process. Normally at first we're excited about the idea, and then when we start implementing, we have this doubt in ourselves. And I think that's why this card comes in. This is confidence. It comes with time and practice. I think it's basically saying that this act of creation, you don't need to have all the answers from the get-go. You don't need to be perfect from the get-go. And Virgos have trouble with this, to let go of the perfectionism. But that's not something that you need. You're just here to express your soul, have joy, have fun, have pleasure in what you're doing, and heal yourself throughout that process. And eventually you will get good, and you will develop the confidence. But whatever is coming through for you at this time, or I think it's actually going to be developing over even the next like 6 months, because I feel intuitively that this Pluto energy is going to be very transformative and take a long time. But if you have some things come over in the next 6 months, or come in for you, from the divine over the next 6 months about what to create, then absolutely pursue it. Do not doubt yourself. It's going to be extremely healing for you and extremely necessary in order to bring more joy into your life. Okay, up next we have Taurus Rising. So for you guys, this new moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto is happening in your 9th house. And I'm going to be pulling some cards for you guys, like all the other groups. And this will help me sort of explain what is going on. Interesting. You guys got the crocodile. Okay. So the cards that I pulled were first house, the body, bitch, fire, stand up for yourself, and crocodile. Okay. That's so funny that I pulled bitch, fire, stand up for yourself, because having this new moon conjunct Pluto in the ninth house, like the ninth house is really about our beliefs, our way of viewing the world. And I like that I pulled this card because I feel like it's basically saying that there might be a lot of people who disagree with you at this time, or you might have like really specific viewpoints, or you might be scrolling through social media and seeing people postings that are triggering to you, or just not in alignment with the energy that you're trying to step into this next year. You're not in agreement with how people are handling things. You have a different vision for your life than maybe other people do, or the different vision for the collective, for the world than other people do. And I feel like this new moon is saying that it's time to take back your power in that area of your life. Whether or not you've given it away, there's always a level where we can step further or deeper into our power. And so this new moon conjunct Pluto, the planet of power, of manipulation, of power struggles, could present some situations in which you have the opportunity to take your power back, to stand further in yourself. And I think that's why I pulled the first house, the body card, which is basically saying that this is the time to make decisions based off of your instincts, your intuition, your knowledge, and really trust yourself, lead yourself, lean into yourself, and not be swayed at all by the outside influences of the world. And you guys also got the crocodile spirit. What really comes to mind with me with the crocodile spirit is its ability to be amphibious. So it's in the water and it's on land equally. So I do feel like you guys have this ability to go from the very intuitive, watery spiritual realms to the more grounded reality of earth. And I think that can also present challenges as well, because you guys are so tapped into both of them. You guys can have these really deep insights about where we're going as a collective, or what we need as a collective. Like, whenever you can tap into the intuitive realm so easily, like half of you is in it, you basically have this level of perspective that the other people during this time don't have. Other people right now are really focused on what is in front of them on land in the material world. They're seeing the violence, they're seeing people freak out, and they just, they don't quite have that larger perspective, or the energetic perspective. So you can literally feel the energy changing. You can see what's coming, and you can see how things fit into this bigger picture. And that allows you to make decisions that are not so hasty, that allows you to create beliefs that are much more optimistic, because you can see, again, the larger picture of how things feed into each other, how this is necessary in order for a larger outcome. And so I feel like this is basically saying you guys have this innate wisdom, this intuition that is guiding you, and it's time to not only stand up for your beliefs, but also share those with the world right now. There's going to be people who totally don't agree with you, who are going to fight you on that, and that's okay. This is saying to stand your ground and believe in yourself and lead yourself right now. But there are going to be some people out there who are looking for guidance, and those are the people that you are meant to reach by taking your innate, intuitive, natural abilities and bringing them forth into the world, and helping people process the more dense, earth energy that we're experiencing with this Capricorn moon in a way that is more positive or more spiritual in a sense. So I love that for you guys. I think it's just going to be really about owning up your power in your beliefs and your ability and your intuition, and really trusting that and delivering that to other people so you can help them. All right, Taurus, that was all for you. Now up next we have Scorpio Rising. So for Scorpio Rising, this new moon is happening in your third house, and this moon is conjunct Pluto. So you guys already kind of embody a lot of that Plutonian energy. So this should be interesting to see how it comes about for you. So weird. Okay, so I'm pulling 3 cards for each group. And I mentioned that this new moon is happening in your third house, which is related to Mercury, related to the mind, related to communication. And that is the card I pulled. So how strange is that? I don't know if any of these are focusing, but I'm just doing it anyway. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a very prominent theme for you guys, is this very mercurial energy, these thoughts that you have. Those are going to be the things that are going to be shifting over this next year. Wow, the swan. Okay. You got the swan and princess. You can be your own knight. And this is a 1 card. Interesting. Very interesting. So I do feel like you guys have kind of a similar theme as to what I was just saying for Taurus Rising. So if you want to watch that, I mean, they are your polarity, so there's going to always be overlap there. But yeah, okay, so what's coming through is that you guys are going to have the opportunity to totally restructure your mindset. And I think that this is absolutely going to happen through a deep dive, because this swan energy, you guys, I had this as my animal card for this entire 2020. And let me tell you, was it a deep dive? I was definitely challenged. A lot of my thoughts and beliefs and constructs about the world were extremely challenged. I was humbled, definitely brought to my knees at different points in time. Things that I really held near and dear or true to me turned out to be much different than they actually were. And that's what I feel like a lot of this Mercury, even third house energy is it's saying that there's going to be a need to adapt very rapidly to the situation, especially with Pluto involved and in the third house, because the third house has a changeability. Mercurial nature is change. And so that is what's coming for you guys in 2021. Way more change than you can probably even anticipate. And I think there's going to have to be a letting go of a lot of the things that I just think that you're going to have to let go of things that you maybe didn't expect to let go of, or you're going to have to view life in a totally different way, and that's going to be an uncomfortable shift. So a lot of this is about going really deep and allowing this change to happen. So the more adaptable we can be at this time, the better. So this could be literally changing your thoughts. It could be changing where you live. It could be changing your relationships, changing aspects in your career. I just hear the word change for you guys. And as a Scorpio rising, I think you already embody a lot of this transformative energy, so I don't think that you will resist it. And I think it's going to be a chance through all this change for you to step up into your power. And again, this is so much overlapping with Taurus, so you might want to watch that one as well. But yeah, you guys got Princess, you can be your own knight. So at the end of the day, letting go of these things, shifting these beliefs, yeah, it's all really uncomfortable. But what is ultimately happening is that you are becoming the leader of your own life. You're becoming your own knight. You're not looking around to someone else for your support. You're not looking around for help, because you have the resources that you need. When you're adaptable, you have all of your resources in your backpack, packed up, ready to go at a moment's notice. And that is what I see for you guys. You guys have so much capability and so much resourcefulness. And I feel like what this new moon is saying is that it's going to give you the opportunity to use this resourcefulness, which is not always comfortable, but it's going to show you what you're made of, show you how many skills and things that you have, and how much you can really truly rely on yourself and how powerful you really are. All right, so that's all for Scorpio risings. Up next, we have Gemini rising. So for you guys, this new moon is happening in your 8th house. And again, this new moon is going to be in Capricorn, conjunct Pluto, which is really intense energy. And of course, I pulled an intense card for you guys. I pulled the solar eclipse revolution card. So I'm sure that you guys are freaking tired of this energy, because you have had all these planets, Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, moving through your 8th house of transformation for the past year. And now they finally shifted into Aquarius, but we're kind of revisiting that energy and having this same cumulative energy happen with this new moon in Capricorn, again, same sign, with Pluto. So yeah, it's kind of like you guys are getting the last big hurrah, the last big bang of what 2020 was about. I also pulled Lioness, you've earned all of your stripes. And let's see the last card before I explain this. The owl, beautiful. I've been seeing the owl come up. Every time I was shuffling the deck, I was seeing the owl, and I'm a Gemini, and it's interesting that I finally pulled it for us, for our sign. Okay, so Geminis, as I mentioned, this is a total rebirth period, which has again been happening for all of 2020. But whenever this new moon conjunct Pluto is coming in, it's basically saying that you have a new beginning. And Pluto energy, which is also transformation of the old, letting go of the old, bringing in the new, in the 8th house of transformation. So it's just so much, you guys, so much transformation. And I feel like at this point, you're going to be somewhat accustomed to the energy. But again, I think it's your last big hurrah. So I think this is going to feel like a revolution in and of itself, like of your character, of who you are. It's going to give you time to fully cut off or cut away the things from last year that you've been meaning to do. So it's like we've had the whole opportunity, the whole 2020 for an opportunity to cut away the old and to step into our higher selves. And, that was kind of challenging because of all those planets in Capricorn. But now that they've shifted into Aquarius, this has given us a little bit of a lighter load, has given us more of a possibility to start to make those changes in a quicker way. And the new moon is basically giving us a push from the universe saying, okay, you've done so good so far. Let's just do the last little bit. And that's what this solar eclipse energy is you guys doing that last amazing transformation of your life. The sun has a lot to do with our purpose. So it could be the way that you show up in the world and live out your purpose, your identity. Even your physical attributes, the way that you take care of your body. There's so many things that can be transformed through the 8th house. So I'm not going to tell you what that is for you, but there is some last big change that's been meaning to be birthed through you. And I love it because you guys got Linus, you've earned all your stripes, which is showing you that you've had so much hard work, that you've done so much things already to put you on this path, and all of the benefits that you're going to reap from this solar eclipse, even if it might feel crazy at first, even if it might be uncomfortable, you're going to start reaping rewards from all this internal work that you've been doing. And you've earned it. You've earned your stripes because you've been through all this pain. You've gotten all these scars from this past year, all of these hurts, all of this transformation. And it's ultimately up-leveling you into this extremely spiritual being, because that's what Pluto tends to do. It tends to strip us back into this state of surrender, where we have to trust, where we have to have faith in the universe, where we have to rely on our intuition, and God to support us. And that's what this owl is saying, is you guys have seriously been able to develop your psychic gifts, and this might even give you more of those psychic gifts through this new moon, because Pluto is very much linked to psychic gifts as well as the 8th house. So I think you guys have been through so much and surrendered so much that you've opened up like a vessel to now receive these gifts, to receive these downloads. And so I think you're going to have this incredible insight into what this new year is going to be like for everybody and for yourselves. So really tap into and trust your intuition throughout this next year, because these owls, they have incredible sight. And I feel like that is actually what you're going to be doing. You're going to be able to have this 2020 vision in 2021. And so, yeah, I'm excited for you guys to finally reap some rewards through all those amazing changes. And you guys have done so great. All right, so that's all for Gemini risings. Now we have Sagittarius risings. So for you guys, this new moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto is happening in your 2nd house of finances. And I'm going to pull 3 cards for you guys, like I'm doing for all the groups. Fire element desire. Well, you guys are fire signs, so that is energy that you are already embodying, that you're already used to. Wings. You never needed those wings to fly. Wow. And the deer energy. You know what? I felt called to pull one more. Wow. Sea serpent. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so as I mentioned, this new moon is happening in your 2nd house. This is a pretty good house to have it in. It's the house of our finances, of our possessions, our values, our confidence, our skills that we've acquired. So you could definitely see some up-leveling and some changes happening in those areas of your life. But I feel like this is going to be a really great time for you to step further into your confidence. Your confidence in your skills, because I pulled the fire element, which is a lot about owning yourself, owning your power. And especially with this Plutonian energy here, I feel like it's saying, absolutely, yes, own your power. It also says desire on here. So Pluto, I mean, the 2nd house is our area of, okay, I like to say that the 2nd house is a house of manifestation, meaning that we put in our requests for the things that we desire while we're in the 2nd house. That doesn't mean that we always get them, but that's really where we can begin to do the energetic work for, seeing those things come into our lives. And so having the power of Pluto here can even intensify or magnify that desire in even our ability to attract it as well. So this would be a really, really powerful time for manifestation, for setting out what those desires are, and for having confidence in your skills and worthiness of why you deserve those things. And that's why it's the house of manifestation, because the second house is house of possessions and our worthiness and our skills. So how do we manifest something? We believe we can have it. We believe that we're worthy of it, and we desire it. And then it manifests into the physical form. And so that's really what you guys are able to do at this new moon, is to start to really visualize yourself living out the life that you want, having the things that you want, doing the things that you want, and being worthy and skilled enough to receive those things. And you guys got wings. You never needed those wings to fly. I feel like you guys, this energy is saying that you had this within you all along. You've had this ability to tap into and have these things all along, but it takes this intense power of Pluto to come in and shake you to your core and show you that you can have this. You don't need to wait until something else happens. You can create this right now. You have this innately within you, and it's going to manifest outwardly because you desire it, and you desire it for a reason. And so I feel like this is saying that you've always had this potential, and now you're just finally fully tapping into it. And I love the sea serpent energy, which is definitely like this kundalini awakening, and even like eating, it's eating its tail. It's kind of going in this circle or this cycle. And I feel like that has a lot to do with like the nature of desire. It's kind of like this never ending, never like fully fulfilled process where like we desire it, we attain it, we want something else. We desire it, we attain it, we want something else. So I feel like this could almost be like the shadow side of this energy coming out, especially with Pluto. There can be this like an obsessive tendency. So at this time you could have like an obsessive tendency to like desire something specific. So I would say just be careful about where you're directing your energy, because we want to believe that we can have it, we want to desire it, we want to manifest it, but then we want to step into more of this passive deer energy where we're enjoying what we have, where we're thankful for our lives as they are. And we're feeling this greater sense of harmony, of balance, and just being really present in the moment in nature. And so I feel like it's basically saying you have so much fire and so much power and so much momentum to go manifest what you want. But just make sure that when you're manifesting it, you're not tying your happiness to that manifestation. That your presence, the simplicity of life, is actually what's going to bring you happiness. But this manifestation can just add a layer of happiness. It can just add to your life, but it's not the basis of your happiness. So I think that's going to be extremely important with this energy, because Pluto is so powerful that it can kind of take over and blow things out of proportion. It can make us feel like, this desire is the be all end all. Once I have this, then I'm going to be good. That's absolutely not the case. You're not going to be any more or any less happy 10 days into having your manifestation come true. So you're going to have to come back to this very simplified deer energy, but still allowing yourself to want those things, still allowing yourself to go after those things, but realizing that your happiness is not attached to those things. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. I really enjoyed doing this. If it resonates, please comment down below, and I hope you have a great day. You can always book a reading with me at willsboom.com, and I'll see you next week. Bye.